So I'd be lying my ass off if I said that I'd been looking forward to Zack Snyder's Justice League Director's Cut thingamabob, whatever you want to call it. I've never thought of Zack Snyder as anything other than a journeyman director with a couple of tricks that he recycles endlessly. I couldn't see why people were clamouring for pound release the Snyder Cut. I think that's how you say it. The Joss Whedon botched job was terrible, but so was Man of Steel, and Batman vs Superman was cinematic excrement of the highest odour. After those films, I never thought Zack Snyder was going to produce a decent Justice League film. What was he going to do? Change his style? He's not that capable. So why people thought Zack Snyder was going to be making some kind of cinematic gem with his Justice League in the first place is beyond me. His resume's patchy at best. His Dawn of the Dead remake was okay. 300 was probably a standout film. Watchmen was pretty good, I thought, but then he did have good source material. And the best thing you could say about Sucker Punch is that it's crazy shit. And as I said, I thought Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman were god-awful hack jobs. He does mega slow motion, drained out colours and big melancholic scores. Rinse and repeat. It peaked with Watchmen and it had become laughable by the end of Man of Steel. I suppose if you like that kind of thing, then you must be a Zack Snyder fan. So given all of that, why on earth am I reviewing Zack Snyder's Justice League? Well, to be honest, I wasn't going to bother, but recent events have brought my attention to it, specifically him branding a fan's YouTube channel as a hate group. Let me say straight off the bat, I'm not in the slightest bit surprised that a Hollywood director used fans to get his project done and promoted for free and then shat on them. That seems par for the course to me for these scumbags. Regardless of what you think of Geeks and Gamers, personally I don't follow any of them closely, they did not deserve to be treated like that, especially on a charity stream. What a cock. Zack Snyder basically defamed them as far as I'm concerned, but as I said, I don't really expect anything from woke Hollywood nowadays. What really got me was the assertion that he didn't want to be associated with hate. He's got no time for it apparently, except when it's people hating Joss Whedon's cut of Justice League so much that they campaign for years to get Zack the chance to finish his vision. Hate literally got your latest film made, Zack. I didn't see you silencing haters when they were going after Joss Whedon and Warner Brothers on your behalf. That hate was A-OK in your book, you fucking hypocritical hack. So anyway, as you can tell, I'm obviously not going into this review with any baggage, you know. I'll try to give it a fair crack of the whip. So what can I say about Joss Whedon's Justice League movie? It was terrible. Really bad. But, in Joss Whedon's defence, and that's not a phrase you hear much these days, he wasn't given $200 million and 2 years to make a Justice League movie from scratch. He was brought in when it was mostly filmed and cobbled together a 2-hour cut with a few noticeable reshoots and some gags to lighten it up, i.e. to be more like Marvel. Who knows what Joss Whedon would have done with a full budget and a blank slate. He probably would have been an even more abusive cunt. I mean, he did make some good stuff, but just look at him. He's a big head about it. And finally we get on to Zack Snyder's Justice League. Is it better than Joss Whedon's attempt? Yes, it is. It's quite a bit better actually. Is it a great movie? No. It's like half of Zack Snyder's films. It's okay. Nothing special, certainly not a classic, breathtaking and epic, etc. Unless by epic you mean really, really long. I certainly won't ever watch it again. As it was, I watched it in 2 sittings. Some reviewers had said that it would be hard to stop watching it, even if the 4-hour duration kept you up all night. Well, I didn't have any problem taking a break, it just wasn't that engaging. The plot is essentially the same as Joss Whedon's version, but there's twice as much time to cover things. So here's the rundown as quickly as possible. We start off with Superman getting pegged by Doomsday. Surprisingly, in super slow motion, a Zack Snyder staple. Cut out half the slow motion in this film and it would be half the length. But then, you can say that about pretty much every movie that Hack has ever made. It's a good shot though, with Superman letting out his dying yell. We see this yell in the form of sound waves travel around the world. This is the thing that activates the hidden mother boxes, knowing that Superman is now gone. So it's already better than Joss Whedon's version, which starts with that cheesy Superman on a cell phone bit. One thing about this film is it's got a lot less moustache. So then we see Bruce Wayne trying to recruit Aquaman. Like everything in this version, it's longer. So you get more of everyone telling Bruce Wayne to get stuffed, and then you get some women singing for Aquaman, and one sniffing his discarded top. I just hope this doesn't turn into a pound me too situation. That is how you say it, right? Alfred picks up Bruce Wayne and they have some banter. There is a lot more Alfred in this, and I won't say no to some more Jeremy Irons. My only complaint is that it's Alfred who does a lot of the detective work. I'd like to have seen Batman figuring more things out. But at least we don't get that crazy scene from the start of Joss Whedon's version where Batman fights the Parademon and then when it dies it leaves an impression of the 3 boxes on the wall, which, let's be honest, was dumb as shit. We then get the Wonder Woman intro scene, which is in both cuts. In this cut, however, as with everything, it is much longer. This works in its favour as it gives us a bit more time to find out what the terrorists are after, and it gives Roose Bolton's character a bit more to do. Once Wonder Woman dispatches the bomb, they have Roose trying to machine gun a room full of kids, and Wonder Woman flat out kills his ass. Nice. I do like this warrior version of Wonder Woman rather than the peace and love version we got from Wonder Woman 1984. So another reluctant tick for Hack Snyder. Next we cut to Themyscira, and we get a longer version of the scene where Steppenwolf comes for the mother box. There's a bit more action here, and a few of the Amazons get some more lines. Ultimately, it's the same outcome though. Steppenwolf does look better, but he still looks a bit weird to me. His armour and horns look quite intimidating, but he's got these big doughy eyes that just look like a big kid's eyes. He gets a better showing in this film though. He's got more dialogue and more to do, and he's given a relationship with Darkseid that he discusses with Desaad, who's Darkseid's second in command, which gives him more of a motivation. He's previously failed or betrayed Darkseid, and his penance is to capture 50,000 worlds for him. He's clearly driven to get back into Darkseid's good books, but Darkseid won't even speak to him early in the film. With the Amazons' mother box gone, they send out a message to the world. They fire an arrow across the world, which lands at a museum or something and sets the place on fire. This gets on the news, and it gets Wonder Woman's attention. She investigates, and at the site she finds out all about the previous attempt by Darkseid to take over the Earth with the mother boxes. So we get a longer flashback scene with everyone fighting Darkseid thousands of years ago. It's got a lot of the previous film stuff, but with Steppenwolf replaced by Darkseid in this one. There's a lot more of the boxes and Darkseid's minions. We see a Lantern, the Amazons, the Atlanteans, men, and the old gods. I quite like that we see Ares from the original Wonder Woman film, and it is played by a younger looking David Thewlis. He even gets to go toe to toe with Darkseid as well, which is quite interesting to think that the antagonist from Wonder Woman that she killed once helped save the planet. It's a pretty good scene, but it doesn't explain very well why the retreating Darkseid and his forces lose track of where the Earth is. They leave the mother boxes behind, and it just says that they couldn't find their way back. So basically they legged it, and when they got far enough away to catch their breath, Darkseid said, "Right, we're regrouping and going back to kick their asses." And his minions say, "Oh right, can you remember the way? We weren't really paying attention, and none of the spaceships have maps or tracking facilities or anything." And Darkseid just goes, "Oh well, easy come, easy go." Anywho, so far it's a step above the Joss Whedon version at every level. So far. Then we meet The Flash. Now, The Flash was terrible in Joss Whedon's film, in my opinion. But his personality kind of fit in with the Joss Whedon vibe. Sort of quirky dialogue and quips. You know the kind of thing. Awkward nerd. He's the one character that gets more backstory and build-up in this version, but it actually makes it worse. He gets to have a longer scene meeting his dad in prison, which isn't very good, and then a terrible scene where he saves a girl that he fancies from a horrific car crash. He does the Flash stroke Quicksilver thing that we've seen before, but as he's saving this woman from being smashed to death, he takes the opportunity to stroke her hair and touch her face and stuff. He's not exactly groping her, but it just doesn't look good. Pound me too. And he still looks awful when he's meant to be running.
It feels like you're running at an incredible rate, Harry.
So with Flash, it's basically, the bad news is he's still shit. The good news is there's twice as much of him. Then we get Steppenwolf searching for the mother box the Atlanteans have. Not sure about the portrayal of the whole underwater kingdom. I haven't seen the Aquaman movie, so I've got nothing to compare it with. The whole creating a bubble thing from Joss Whedon's version is still there, which seems a bit strange to me. But at least in this one, Willem Dafoe gets some good face time. One thing I never got, which seemed more obvious in this version, is that Diana knows all about the Atlanteans. She knows they're around, but then she seems surprised to see the Aquaman footage. I don't know, maybe she's just shocked to see half-human Arthur. Then we get to the crux of the new version, Cyborg. Now some reports had said that this is really Cyborg's movie now, and I think they're pretty much right. He seems to be the main character in this film, even though it takes an hour to get to his origin. Of course, this is all great news for Cyborg actor Ray Fisher, who I'm sure Zack Snyder will be championing to get back, seeing as Zack is so anti-hate now. Or maybe he keeps his mouth shut when his paymasters tell him to. So here we get an origin for Cyborg, and he and his father, the guy from Terminator 2, get a lot more screen time in this version, like everyone else does. His father even gets the big emotive speech that ends the film. Cyborg's dad works at Star Labs, and he gets the mother box to see if he can help him fix his son, who was left practically dead after a car crash that killed his mum. Once it's done its thing and given Cyborg super robot powers, it goes back to sleep and he sticks it in a closet. I like the way that the Amazonians had a big, heavily guarded temple to protect their box, and the Atlanteans had it pretty secure too. But the mother box entrusted to men ends up in some guy's apartment next to his old shoes. Seems about right. So Cyborg's powers in the Joss Whedon cut were pretty vague, pretty standard. Flight, strength, computery stuff. In this one it's pretty much spelled out that he can do anything that involves technology. He can even launch all the nukes in the world in a second if he wants. We better hope that Bruce Wayne is chilled out about potential threats since his run-in with Superman in Batman vs Superman. Because if he finds out that Cyborg can nuke us all with a thought, he might go all "do you bleed" on us again. Cyborg can also give money to anybody he wants, which kind of negates Bruce Wayne's superpower of being rich. But anyway, he's super powerful and with his connection to the mother boxes, he is essential to the plot. So Wonder Woman tries to recruit Cyborg, but for some reason he declines. I think this is pretty much the same in the Joss Whedon cut. Then we get Bruce Wayne recruiting the Flash, which seems to be pretty much the same as the Joss Whedon version 2 as far as I can remember. And now that he has the Atlantean's mother box, Steppenwolf starts kidnapping people who've been in contact with Cyborg's one, which of course means that his dad gets taken. So Cyborg goes to the others and tells them what's up. They all head off to save his dad and end up in their first confrontation with Steppenwolf. It seems a little bit different from the Joss Whedon cut, but it ends the same with Aquaman turning up to join them. Cyborg tells them all about what the mother boxes can do. Basically he says that they change things, and for example, they could turn the smoke from a burning house back into the house. So now they get the idea of using it to resurrect Superman. Although it seems a lot longer, the resurrection scene is pretty much the same from what I can remember. Then when Superman comes back to life, he has his fight with everyone, and it mostly works out the same as the Joss Whedon version. He doesn't have the "do you bleed" exchange with Batman, and Batman doesn't have Lois brought in as the big gun to end the fight. Superman is just on the verge of killing Batman when Lois, who was already kind of there, shows up. Superman recognises her and stops fighting. It's just a little change, but it does work better. What's also different here is that in Joss Whedon's cut, it's at this point that Steppenwolf just goes yoink and nicks their mother box. In this version, Cyborg's dad actually takes the mother box back into Star Labs, with Steppenwolf after it. He takes it into a secure area and he zaps it with something. Cyborg then gets to see his own father being vaporised, but the box itself is okay and Steppenwolf gets it. However, it turns out Cyborg's dad wasn't trying to destroy it, he was just superheating it so they could track it with thermal imaging and find Steppenwolf's base. So this whole bit is a bit more satisfying than the Justice League just forgetting about the box and letting Steppenwolf steal it, which always made them look completely stupid. So then we move into the final part of the film, which is the Justice League going face to face with Steppenwolf and trying to stop the mother boxes uniting and creating the unity, which will apparently screw up everything. As with everything else, it's much longer, mostly due to slow motion, but the main events are similar. That is up till the end point. In this version, the plan is that Cyborg will merge with the boxes to help split them up, but he needs Flash to zap him at full speed for some reason. Once Superman turns up and makes mincemeat of Steppenwolf, Cyborg gets ready to do his thing, but then Flash gets shot by a parademon and he can't make the run in time. So the boxes merge, open up a portal to Darkseid's world, and they send a destructive blast out that kills the Justice League. But then Flash does a Superman the movie move, and he runs so fast that it reverses time. So now he makes it to Cyborg, and they split up the mother boxes. Then Superman kicks the dying Steppenwolf through the portal to Darkseid, and for good measure, Wonder Woman chops his head off as he flies past her. So, technically Superman didn't kill him. But now Darkseid knows where they are, and he tells the SAD that they're going to take the ships back there, setting up a sequel that will never happen. Although this is the end, there's a few things that happen after this. One is Martian Manhunter turns up to say that he would like to help in the future. He had a little scene earlier with Lois where he was disguised as Martha Kent. I've no idea why he waited for them to defeat Steppenwolf before revealing himself. It seems like they just couldn't fit him into the old footage, but they wanted the publicity of the character being in the film, which is exactly the same as the Joker. The much publicised scene with him is a pre-credits dream sequence where Bruce Wayne is back in the nightmare future world where Darkseid is one and Superman is a bad guy. Batman has a back and forth with Joker where it's confirmed that Joker killed Robin, and they basically both want to kill each other when this is all over. Jared Leto tries to chew the scenery with his small cameo, but it just comes across as what it is, a useless scene added late so they could publicise that he was in it. Coming just before the same gimmick with Martian Manhunter in the next scene, and it all just seems like a cheap trick, which pretty much sums up the whole endeavour as far as I'm concerned. It's presented as an elsewhere adventure, and it has Darkseid getting a few lines and being in the flashback fight, but ultimately Darkseid being in it means nothing. Desaad speaks with Steppenwolf where it could easily have just been Darkseid, but then they couldn't say Desaad was in it, so really it meant nothing. There's a longer scene with Lex Luthor and Deathstroke, which means nothing. Martian Manhunter and Joker are in it, as I mentioned, but doesn't really mean anything. None of it means anything beyond being eye candy for fans to say, wow, look, it's enter name. Isn't this film great? I've probably missed a lot of things, but it's a 4-hour film, and as I said, I'm never watching it again. To sum up, I'd reiterate what I said at the start. It is better than Joss Whedon's Justice League, but then most films are. It's not great, I'd struggle to even say it was good. I'm happy to say that it's okay. Cyborg is the big standout in this version. It is pretty much Cyborg's movie. So if you watched Joss Whedon's Justice League and you thought it was okay, but you'd like to see less funny lines and have more Flash and Cyborg and a shitload of slow motion and sad songs, then you might love Zack Snyder's Justice League. If you hated Joss Whedon's like I did, then this one is, while undoubtedly an improvement, still not good. Anyway, I've had enough of this movie. I can't believe I've now watched 6 hours of Justice League. I think it's time to scrap this version and start from scratch. Okay, you can keep Gal Gadot if you want, and Henry Cavill for the ladies, but get a new Flash, get some new writers, and for God's sake, get rid of Zack Snyder. I don't hate him, I don't hate anyone that I don't really know, I just don't think he's very good at his job, and he's clearly a hypocrite and a massive tool. This one-trick pony has had his chances, time to get someone else in. Not you.